Wow, I decided to check out the other bare knuckle company, if you will. I mean, it's not like I'm affiliated with either one in any official capacity. And I just love bare knuckle fighting, bare knuckle boxing, whatever you want to call it. If there ain't no gloves, it's my game, baby. I'm Adam Lavelle, new fan of bare knuckle boxing, still getting to know it. I've watched about 4 bare knuckle fighting championship shows. Loved every one of them. I'm going to keep watching them. But tonight, instead of going into Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship show number 2, which I'll get to that. I reviewed number 1 from 2018. I'm going to go to number 2. I wanted to jump over to Bare Knuckle Boxing. Same thing. Only they fight in what they call I think it's called a trifecta. It's a triangle-shaped ring. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. Pictures will be going across here as I talk about it. It's definitely unique. It is the smallest surface any MMA, fighting, boxing, what have you, performs in. I mean, it is very unique. At first, I didn't think I liked it, but it's growing on me a little bit. I kind of like the differences between the two companies, give you something fresh and unique. Bare knuckle boxing gives you the triangle ring. They have 5 3-minute rounds, and their championship fights are 6 3-minute rounds. Whereas Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, they have the circle ring, squared circle, but it is a circle ring, and their fights are 5 2-minute rounds. And I believe their championship matches are the same, 5 2-minute rounds. So you see there's some uniqueness between the two companies, which makes it fresh when you're watching one or the other. I want them both to wildly succeed. I really do. From what I understand, Bare Knuckle Boxing has unified, has combined with the European company, BYB, I believe it's called. No, it's not Bring Your Beer. I forget what that stands for. But they've combined, so they're like the largest bare knuckle fighting company with roster wise and places wise. They're just two companies unified to become pretty monstrous, but that's not giving any slight to bare knuckle fighting championship. But anyhow, I'm going to take a look right now at bare knuckle boxing number 41. It was in Dubai. It was the second time they've been there. And this show kicked off with a nice match up here. Got to get to my notes. I probably should have slid them a little closer before I started talking to you on here. Let's see, who was this? Tommy Aaron took on Ryan Jett. Now, both of these guys have some charisma. Both of these guys were doing some mouthing off. Boy, it was believable. Not that this stuff isn't real. This isn't pro wrestling, folks. This is real as hell, so of course it's believable. But I mean the heat between them. Some legitimate anger between them. Like they really didn't like each other. And you felt it here in the fight as they went at it pretty damn good. Aaron at one point got a point deducted for a kick. He threw a little bit of a kick. It wasn't a major, it wasn't a head kick or something. He threw kind of a low kick. Because these guys are oftentimes MMA fighters, and it's hard to sometimes discipline yourself to remember this is just boxing. You can't do anything else but box. And he threw a little bit of a low kick and got 1 point deduction. He also threw in a headbutt there. Couldn't tell if it was purposeful or not. He got a strong warning. So it looked like Ryan Jett was on his way to victory here, especially with the point deduction. But let's stop and wait a minute here. That wasn't to be, as Aaron turned it up and really started assaulting in a proper boxing way. Ryan Jett taking him out. And what round was that? Hold on. I'm sorry about this, guys. Third round, beginning of the third round, Ryan Jett could not continue. The match was stopped, and winner by technical knockout was Aaron, Tommy Aaron. 2 first names there, Tommy Aaron. He gets the big win. Now, what was really crazy here, after the fight was over, they started to sort of make up, shake hands, hug it out, because they were yapping at each other before the fight, during the fight, all fight long. They were really going to town with words and fists between the bells. But here, at the end, they're hugging it out, and all of a sudden, there's pushing, there's shoving, I thought Ryan Jett was trying to leap through, do a tope suicida like they do in wrestling, through the ropes at Aaron's corner man, which happened to be his brother. Is Tommy Aaron's brother a fighter? I don't know. I hope so, because he's got to fight Ryan Jett now, that's for sure. It was so bad, they kind of fought off, like they do in wrestling, and I'm not I'm not comparing this to wrestling, but I know a lot of you watching me are watching me because I used to go by the wrestling snob, and you're doing me a favor by seeing what this stuff's all about and see if you want to join this party. And trust me, you do. If you don't, maybe I'll take my bare knuckles upside your head for being so stupid. But no, they sort of fought off, chased each other off out of the scene, and the announcer was left. And boy, this announcer's a tall sucker. He's there to announce the winner with neither fighter there. It was remarkable. And what a way to start off bare knuckle fighting, number one. Bare knuckle boxing, number 41. I'll get it down eventually, guys. Real quick, their titles are remarkable. They're called the Police Gazette Diamond Championship belts. Police Gazette Diamond Championship belts. Now they're heavyweight, lightweight, featherweight, all that, right? But this is sort of like, again, I hate to compare it to pro wrestling, but you know, over in Japan, they got the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and other acronyms, GCW, you know, all these other acronyms that is supporting. It's like the supporting company. This title, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it, but you got to see it. I'll try to put a picture up here in the corner. Beautiful belts, old-fashioned but glitzy, glamorous looking boxing belts. You know, they have the cloth belt instead of the leather. It's so cool. That's what boxing used to be. Not that I dislike leather straps, obviously, as you see on my championship belts I have behind my head here. But the Police Gazette Diamond Championship, really unique. They go back to like the 1850s or something crazy. And I love history, especially sports history. And so for bare knuckle boxing to have a title like this, continue the lineage, that's pretty sweet. That's pretty awesome. The next bout here we're going to take a look at was Joshua Sykes taking on Ben Crowder. Now, this fight wasn't bad, but Ben Crowder just seemed to be content defending. Like he's sort of backing off, trying to throw a jab in, but he didn't work himself into the mix. You know, he didn't work himself inside and really never posed a threat to Joshua Sykes at all. But he worked a defense well enough to keep his ass from being knocked out, right? And that seemed to be what he was content with. If I can just keep from being knocked out, if I lose, at least the guy didn't knock me out. I'm not saying that's how he was thinking. I can't read his mind, but that's how it came across. And of course, he lost badly. Unanimous decision. Joshua Sykes picks up the win. Of course he does. He's the one that was providing all the offense, and Ben Crowder was just, you know, jerking back. He wasn't ducking. You know, when you got to duck and come into a guy. Instead, he was backpedaling, like driving backwards on his bicycle, right? That's how he was fighting here. And it didn't make the fight bad because Sykes pressed forward enough that it was an interesting fight, but you did find yourself wondering, what's Crowder going to get on some offense here? Sometimes you feel like guys are thinking, I'll just play defense and land one big shot. I'll counter. You know, I'll get a counter shot in, and it will be hard enough. It will be strong enough. I'll knock the sucker out, and even though I got picked at all fight long, I'll win. But if the fighter you're fighting is also talented enough to be defensive enough to avoid the counter, you get a fight that's not bad, but completely one-sided, and that's what this was. Joshua Sykes takes out Ben Crowder in 5 rounds, unanimous decision. Then we had a wonderful women's match. The Rock, and no, not the one that cooks. I'm talking about, am I going to say her name right? Leilani Mota took on Monica Medina. This only went 2 rounds. The Rock Mota took Medina, outpicked her apart, knocked her down. Basically, Medina, the ref goes up to her at the end of the first round and says to her, excuse me, can you see me, ma'am? Can you see me, Medina? Can you see me, Monica? And she's like, both eyes swollen, almost shut. She goes, no, sir. No, sir, I can't see you. And he's like, okay, fight's over. The Rock, Leilani Mota, wins a big fight, and they're talking about a title shot for her very soon. If not, her next fight coming up before you know it. Then we had former heavyweight champion DJ Linderman taking on Terrell Jamal Woods. Now here we had our another, almost said our first, it was another 5-rounder. Now I'm going to tell you that sometimes when you watch this stuff, in my newbie experience, I'm just being honest with you, you find yourself just wanting to see a bunch of knockouts in the first, second, third round. You know, you're like, come on, let's see another one. Even though it shortens the show, and sometimes fights, it's okay if a fight is technical. This fight wasn't necessarily technical, but it went all 5 rounds. And these guys, look, Terrell Jamal Woods is very experienced and very good, but Not just like the last fight, but similar to it in some ways. He seemed a little reserved. And I think, again, this is just my totally unprofessional opinion, I think some of these guys are a little bit scared, a little bit nervous that if they work their way inside to deliver a finishing blow, they could get finished. Or if their blow is countered, they're going to get their lights knocked out. And of course, who wants to get knocked out, right? Of course, nobody in their right mind wants that. But you have to risk that in order to land a punch that knocks your opponent out, right? Not always, but sometimes. I'd say usually. Linderman won this by unanimous decision. Wasn't really close, but it wasn't. He didn't kill him. He didn't murder him. It's a fun fight to watch. Oftentimes, you find yourself thinking, if this went 5 rounds, I don't know if I want to watch this. You do. You do. Linderman looked like a beast. He's 41 years old. The dude's only like 15 years younger than me. Well, it's still significantly, right? But still, 41 years old, kicking the ass of a 35-year-old. He's got the farmer tan going on. He doesn't have a beautiful body. He looks like he could be a farmer, literally. That's how he got the tan. I don't know. No insult to farmers, but he's not jacked. He's not, and Woods isn't either, but more so than is Linderman. Linderman feels that he's back on the championship path at 41 years old after getting a win like this. This fight was interesting and fun to watch. They kept active, right? So there's no reason to not watch this fight. If you're watching this review thinking, I don't want to watch a 5-rounder, I recommend it. Our next fight up was Yampir Ramirez. I hope I'm saying that right. Sometimes the Y side. Yampir. I think it's Yampir Ramirez taking on Brandon Burr. And at first, Ramirez is called the Samurai. That's a nickname I used to have when I watched Japanese wrestling. So cool. I like this nickname, but I like Burr. He looked like a tough and gritty kind of guy, and that's the kind of fight this was. Looking at my notes here. And Ramirez is the younger of the two, only 21 years old. And while Burr is 32, far from an old guy, but 10, 11 years older than Ramirez. And Ramirez was sort of a little bit slow. He was throwing some punches. I'm not saying he was reserved and backing away. No, that's not really what I'm saying. But Burr, being the more experienced guy, showed it to Ramirez. And for 2 rounds, it was clear. I mean, clear. And I wasn't killing him, but it was obvious, if you know boxing this much, that Burr was winning this fight. And then the 3rd round came about, and something just seemed to snap in Ramirez. I don't know if it was something one of his trainers said, his corner man. I don't know. But something happened to Ramirez. He kicked it into high gear and had several flurries of punches that just busted up and beat down Burr. And he goes down, and Ramirez remains undefeated. I think he's 4-0. This might have been 5-0. And going after the title here. Definitely going after the featherweight title for sure. I'd be shocked if that's not his next match after this, but we'll have to wait and see. Ramirez went from getting beat, obviously beat, not beat down. He was sticking in there and throwing punches and doing well, but it was clear if it went to the cards that he was going to lose this in 5 rounds. But in the 3rd round, bam, he turned it up, he turned it on, he gets the knockout for the win to move on in the featherweight division, probably for a title matchup, I would suspect. Next up, we had Rolando D-Y, I think that's how you pronounce it, Rolando D, it might be D. They said it on the show. I don't have that fond of a memory. I just turned it off. Give me a break. I'm 55. But he fought Roberto Duran Jr. That sounds like somebody I should know. Doesn't that sound like a famous name or something? Roberto Duran Jr., very close in age. Everything's close. Duran Jr. did have a 4-inch reach advantage, but everything else about him is close, same height, very close to the same weight, all that kind of stuff. But in the 2nd round, the great 1st round, back and forth between them both. In the 2nd round, D went off with a set of furious strikes. It sounds similar to last fight, doesn't it? But it wasn't. These fights are completely different. But this is what happened. D went off, exploding on Duran. Duran did answer the 8 count twice. He was knocked down twice in this round. He answered the 8 count both times, but the bell rang, and they went to their corners, and he got examined by the doctor, did Duran Jr., and the doctor says, no way. He's got a cauliflower ear ready to explode in any minute. One of his eyes is almost swelled shut. He's bleeding like a stuck pig. I know it's my words, not the doctor's. But this fight was stopped. There's no way the doctor said Duran Jr. should answer the bell. So this gave Rolando D a major win here in a very entertaining fight, even though it was short. I enjoyed that one a lot. I enjoyed all of them, to tell you the truth. And we're finally up to the main event. Sometimes I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm flying through these. Did I miss something? I hope not. Forgive me if I have. I'm going off my notes on my computer. It is going on 10 o'clock at night here on the East Coast. That's getting late for this old guy that's got to go to bed to be at a job tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. But we're at the main event, and it was for the interim lightweight championship belt. And again, this goes back to the title of the belt that I spoke about earlier. I got to go way back here scrolling on my notes to remind myself of what that was. The Police Gazette Diamond Championship. The Police Gazette Diamond Champion Lightweight Championship of the World. This is an interim match because there was supposed to be another guy in this fight. Forgive me for forgetting his name, but he wasn't there, couldn't make it, or didn't make weight. Something happened. So they stuck in another guy to fight this, and they're calling it the interim championship until the guy that missed this fight could return and get a shot at this title as well against the new champion, which is Jared Grant, because he took out George Bargalo. George Bargalo is a cocky son of a bitch. I mean, it was fun to watch, but he's like juking and literally like doing a little shuffle, the boxer shuffle in the ring. You can't see my feet right now. Sticking out his tongue over and over every time he got punched. The problem is he got punched a lot. He showed that he was taking it. He showed that he wasn't being hurt physically, but he was being hurt on the scorecards as Jared Grant took him down in 6 rounds because this was a championship fight. Very good. Both guys were bleeding. Both guys were tired. Both guys were exhausted. Both guys had given it their all. And like I said, Bargalo, who is from Cuba, as they say, he performed. He was a performer. He is an entertainer, no doubt. But the entertainer went down to the better fighter, the better boxer here, Jared Grant. He gets on the mic after it's over. They strap that beautiful title belt around him. I like this title belt. It's kind of big, but I like it. You can see in the pictures here, it's big, but I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan of their title belts and the name and the history. Really cool. Jared Grant gets on the mic after it's over and said, I fought like shit. I'm sorry, and thanks to my opponent for coming in here and giving me this fight, late like this, filling in. But I can fight better than that. So I can't wait to see this guy when he fights better than this. That's going to be a great thing. This show, this card was excellent. I'm giving it a 9.8 out of 10. I don't even know why I'm taking the 0.2 off. I mean, I had a couple 5-rounders, which I don't really punish for that, but I know fans aren't real happy with them. 9 times out of 10, fans will get restless and start booing a little bit. So don't leave it in the hands of the judges. I'm not faulting you for going 5 rounds. I'm not one of those son of a bitches that do that. That happens in good fights. But the reason you don't want to do it isn't because it's bad, isn't because you're a bad fighter. It's because why leave it up to the judges? Anything can happen. I have seen, not in this yet, but not in bare knuckle fighting yet, but I have seen in boxing and MMA, UFC, Bellator, I have seen guys win, even titles that was like, there's no way, like completely blow your mind, bewildering decisions by judges. I think the decisions here tonight were right, thankfully. But I don't want to see matches, fights, especially for titles, come down to a judge's decision like this. Again, they were right here. Jared Grant won that, in my opinion. I think this is spot on. But they can be wrong. And I would hate to see that. So come on, guys. Go at it. Let's get these knockouts. Let's get these stoppages so we don't have to rely on judges. I'm Adam Lavelle. I'll be back with more bare knuckle fighting enthusiasm shortly.